Shine, wild ones. It's Bernadette. I'm here with your Pick a Card tarot reading for Monday, the 1st of March, 2021. And the hits from the animal spirit guides just keep rolling in. Today, you're listening to Woodpecker, 8 of Swords inverted. And you just cannot make this up. So, if you saw Saturday's reading, then you'll know that Galapagos tortoise took me on a grand adventure to the stars, to up in the universe. And if I didn't make it clear on Saturday, because I was still like in trance state, that I get asked a lot if I really truly have visions, and I always get asked that by people who either think I'm a whack job, of which there are a lot, including myself sometimes, or people who have them also and are just so terrified they think they're losing it, or they've gone crazy, you know, or they need to know if they really need to believe. So for me, the visions are very real, as evidenced by when I'm doing a reading and I get that information for somebody and then they affirm that the information that I gave them is true for them, that is an affirmation of that vision. So for you might want to start looking for that, because you very well may be crazy, but it's probably not because you're having visions. So anyway, I bring all of that up because with the Woodpecker and the 8 of Swords coming for you all inverted today, it was told to me in that reading that the whole point of it was so that you could dream new dreams, but from a really large perspective, and you could let go of old, outmoded things that just were no longer serving you and reach for the stars. And, you know, that sounds great. And you were called to do a ceremony, a ritual, a spell casting, you know, affirmations, manifestations, whatever this is that you do. But that may very well, and gosh, I hope it did, work for everybody. But if you knew what your blocks were, if you knew what your fears were, I gotta believe you would have already worked to move past them, right? Or if you already know what they are, but you're having a real challenge getting past them, you know, me in my never-ending fight to just eschew myself, you know, not eschew, but just rid myself of my sugar cravings. And believe me, I've read it all. I've tried it all. I just, you know, triple chocolate cake. It's, what can I say? So this today is such a dovetail into Saturday, because when you take a look at the traditional tarot card meanings of the 8 of Swords, you know, you see this poor old gal. She's all, you know, she's got blindfolds on, and she's like, she's all tied up, and she's, you know, standing with all these swords around her, and it looks pretty awful. However, she's in a self-imposed prison. You know, it's like we say, there's an old parable kind of thing we say in the South about somebody who's, you know, trapped in a jail cell and is just, and, you know, finally says something to, I don't remember the whole thing, says something to the jailer, and the jailer goes, look, you never even bothered to push the door open. We hadn't had a lock for that thing in 25 years, or we haven't had a key to that lock in 25 years. It's always open. And, you know, this person has been in there for a year or 2 years and just, you know, cry, and never once tried to get out. Never. Just cried about it. So I'm not saying you just cry about it. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that your fears aren't real. And I'm not saying that your blocks aren't real. Again, sugar addiction. Sugar addiction. So what I am saying, though, is when you start to add up the Galapagos turtle from Saturday, and now you take a look at this old gal who, you know, even if you look at the 8 of Swords tarot card and its meanings when it's upright, you'll notice those blinders aren't on, you know, they're loose. Everything is loose. She could just open anything at any time. And that's the whole point of the symbolism of that particular card. Now you talk about turning that old gal up on side of her head, upside down, and what you've got is literally the blinders coming off, the shackles coming off. That said, that's because you've been honest with yourself, or you're about to be so like, ugh, for so long, and you're going to be like, I've had enough. And you're just going to be like a comic book hero, and everything comes off and all the music starts, and, you know, that's what you're fixing to be. Yes, fixing to be. It's a real thing. So when you take a look at Woodpecker, okay, And the reason Woodpecker wanted to be the Eight of Swords is it's because about repeating the same patterns and wonking your head upside a brick wall. And a lot of times they get to where they want to be. They want to, make their nests and they want to get food. But I got news. I had a office for a long time here in Gainesville in a red brick building on the second floor. And for several weeks, this poor woodpecker, I've never observed an animal in the animal kingdom like this, because this old gal or boy or whatever came, I don't even know how they put their little claws on the side of the building, but they just took to pecking the red brick, over and over and over. And I used to sit there and think, is there something, is there something wrong with him? His poor little pea-picking heart. What can I do? Because I'm like, God, you got to be wearing down your beak at some point, brother, because this went on for a couple of weeks and then I never saw him again or her again, right? But today is Root Chakra Day. I'm wearing my red. Today is Monday. It's the start of a new month. The spring equinox is coming up. That's all about new beginnings and beautiful new energy to grow things. And today is the moon, right? Your ruling planet is the moon. So you start connecting the dots, right? And which is what Ladybug taught us way early on in the year. And I really, again, I'm going to say, I believe it's a theme that's going to go on our whole year. We've got to connect the dots. And so when you take a look at all of that and you take a look at woodpecker upside down, now some really amazing traits or symbolic meaning of a woodpecker as a spirit totem and power animal is that they can be relentless, and that can serve you in great stead. And when they're relentless, their beaks are specifically designed so that the beaks don't wear down. They go with those trees or brick buildings at 23 miles per hour, and it's just repetitive. But their physiology is such that they've got a tongue that actually wraps around their brain, and it's this crazy stuff. Look it up. Me, I'm such a geek. I would sit here and talk about that for 45 minutes because every lick of that stuff correlates to the symbolism of a woodpecker and definitely to the Eight of Swords. So in one capacity, it's asking you, if it was an upright position, whatever this is that you want to do, that you're trying to figure out, a love relationship, career, yourself, finances, pets, whatever you're trying to figure out. If it was an upright, it'd be telling you, keep at it. You're going to be okay. And then it would also tell you, especially based on the red-headed woodpecker, that, you want to feel that way down in your root chakra to stay committed to something because it's going to be okay. When it's inverted, now the Eight of Swords, her blinders fall off, all that falls off. But when the woodpecker is inverted, it doesn't mean you're not protected. You are always protected by your animal spirit guides. You are always supported by your animal spirit guides, right? But it doesn't mean don't be relentless. What it means is that you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to come at something like a jackhammer. You don't have to do that, because once you see what's really going on, once you see the truth of a thing, of a person, of a whatever, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's what I'm dealing with. Maybe. This card today, it's really kind of kooky that it came out, because just this past week, I had a conversation with someone, and, listen, does anybody not have caller ID on the earth? Does anybody not have caller ID at this point? And this person called 9 times in a row, like successively in a row. Called, didn't get an answer, called back. Called, didn't get an answer, called back. Called, didn't get an answer, called back. And so by the 10th time, I picked up the phone and I said, hello? And they launched into something they were so unhappy about. Yuck, 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 yuck. And I went, listen, stop. And finally I went, stop. And they stopped. And I said, look, let me explain something to you. I'm in your corner. I want to help you. That's why I do what I do. I want to help people. I want to help myself. I want to help the world. I like to help. I'm a helper. What can I tell you? I said, but. That's all I got out of my mouth. That's what I was thinking there, is this person is a Gatling gun. A Gatling gun. I'm not interested. I'm Southern. We don't like Gatling guns. So I took it for about another 10 seconds and I said, stop, stop, stop. And I said, I can see, I can hear, I can feel that you are completely invested in being right. I am not the psychic medium for you. I am not the shamanic practitioner for you. I am not. Because you're mowing me over. You're mowing me over, and I'm a hard person to mow over. I said, I would really suggest, and I gave him, I was like, here, let me try to give you a suggestion for this. So for the third and final time, I said, I'm done with this conversation. I am finished with this conversation. I'm hanging up now. And I did click, click. You know why I did click? Because that person was the worst possible version of a woodpecker that there is. Maybe not the worst, but I wasn't having it that day, right? I wasn't having it. And in all honesty, I don't believe it would have done that person any good had I sat and listened to the because that doesn't help them. They go out into the world and they mow everybody in their path over with their story. They suck the air right out of a room. Just another ear listening to them, being bullied by them, being mowed over by them. How's that going to help them? That wasn't the day and I wasn't the one. Now, why I go into that story is when you get an upside down woodpecker, when you get the Eight of Swords reversed, okay, that tarot card reversed, Bernadette thinks is one of the most powerfully healing, powerfully just fantastic cards there is, because once the blindfolds are gone, once the shackles are gone, especially the ones you put on yourself, what does it always say? Stay wild. How the heck can you stay wild if you don't have freedom? And I say that even if you're in a family that seemingly doesn't give you freedom, you might be in prison. You might be in jail. You might be anywhere watching this video. You are still free. You're still free. No one can take what's inside of you unless you allow it. And I know you're not going to allow it. So you don't have to keep beating your head up against a brick wall or a tree for that matter. You can tap, tap, tap once, make yourself your little cave, get your little worms, whatever those are, and be on about your merry way, right? You don't have to keep at it forever. And the reason you don't is because once your blindfolds are off, once the Eight of Swords, once you dump that old gal on her head and all that stuff falls out, and by the way, an upright sword, which the swords are upright, when you turn an Eight of Swords tarot card inverted, they're pointing up. They're not down anymore. And that's always a great omen, right? First, and then you look at the number 8. Okay, the 8, that's the number of infinity. So you can either spend longer than you need, because infinity is way longer than you need, to stay blinded and stay trapped and bound, or you can spend infinity, seeing the light, like I have seen the light, that kind of thing, and go on about your merry business in a way that will make you, listen and understand. I'm not preaching at you. I'm not. And I'm not admonishing you in any way. I'm not scolding you. What I'm telling you is, can you imagine how hard-headed a triple Scorpio can be? Come on now. Listen, I've had my fair share of bonk, 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 and I still have it today. Sugar, the sugar. And so, like people are calling COVID the COVID, I'm calling it the sugar. So, I know what you're going through. I do. And I feel for you. I do. But I can say, having read for 65,000 people now, having listened to their healing stories and talked to other healers and this and that, I can tell you that when you get those blindfolds off and you get those shackles off, the only negative thing you're going to think is, what was I thinking? You're going to think, what was I thinking? Because you're going to wonder why it took you so long. That's what everybody says. Every single person I've ever talked to. So get it gone, right? That's what we say in the South. Get it gone. Get it gone. And get those shackles off and get those blindfolds off and move to your new, most fantastic life that you're going to journey with the Galapagos turtle into the heavens, into the universe, and you're going to wish upon a star, and that's it. Everything's going to be, you're just going to be in joy. That's it. Every single solitary minute of every single solitary day is going to be joyous. So there you go. Get with the program. All right. I love you guys. Happy Monday. Happy Root Chakra Day. Happy Moon Day. It's all about the feelings. And man, I sure hope this was helpful. As always, do good for animals and stay wild.